with any game on the market, there are always going to be times in which we come across something where we're like, that doesn't make all that much sense, or that shouldn't be just like that. And World War II is no exception, but it is something that still has its own faults here and there, some bigger than others, and it's been something that we've talked about for a couple of months now, breaking down into videos, taking a look at weapon nomenclature, weapon quirks, game bugs, game quirks, and everything in between. Some stuff that really is more so trivial than anything else, but still some fun things that you're like, well, that's a little bit off. So today I wanted to do another one because we haven't done one in quite some time. I want to take a look at 5 more quirks and bugs within World War II, all of which though, once again, are going to be smaller on the grand scheme of things and some stuff that really doesn't necessarily affect your day-to-day gameplay, but some stuff that you will totally notice if you take a look at them, but otherwise you might not notice. So kind of once again a little trivia type thing in which it's just some fun facts here and there that you can take a look at, and maybe you won't see stuff the same way after you end up doing it. That said, we're gonna be talking about 5 quirks, 5 bugs, and hopefully it's something you guys enjoy. If you want to see more, I can definitely keep doing these, making more of them as time progresses. But that said, let's jump into the first one here to start off this list. Now the first one deals with one that is a weapon of much hot topic discussion at the very moment, the FG42, but not necessarily in a way that you might necessarily care all that much about, because while recently we got an update to the weapon and the game itself that nerfed the fire rate a little bit and added more recoil to the FG, making it not as prominent as a daily choice of weapon as it was previously, it is something that still has had its changes here and there. The quirk in question has absolutely nothing to do with the properties of the weapon at its base. Instead, it deals with when you add the extended mags attachment onto it. Now, of course, the extended mags with the FG is always a great choice, but one thing that I noticed particularly as of using it recently, and one thing that kind of drove me crazy because I'm just one of those people that really like the perfection of audio, that is where this comes into play, because if you end up reloading the FG42 with the extended magazines on, you'll be able to hear that it makes the sound of finally putting the magazine into place and it locking in there before it actually does the animation. So it's probably about a half-second delay and discrepancy, but it's something that I noticed that made the audio whenever there was still even a sliver of the magazine that is not even close to touching metal with the magazine. So it's a weird little quirk, and one that of course means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but me being somebody that's been around audio my entire life and my ears are trained for those sorts of things to try and find audio syncing with not only work that I do outside of YouTube, but inside as well to match everything up, that stuck out like a sore thumb. But again, it's just one a little more trivial and you might not notice unless I point it out. So the next one that I want to talk about is one that I'm sure actually a lot of you guys have played around with and noticed yourself. This dealing specifically with war. Now, right now, for whatever reason, there is a game bug within the war game mode, and it seems to be arbitrary and random at what points and times it happens, but the audio announcer will just blast in your ears rather than just stay at that standard rate of the decibel level for the audio that plays through your game. Now, that said, once again, it is something that just absolutely blows you away, and I'll play a little clip of it so you can end up seeing, but you'll know exactly what I mean.
Charlie's been stopped by our hedgehog. Seize advantage. Take out a decibel.
B's retreating. Keep firing. Baker's pulling back. B's retreating. Keep firing.
So at the moment, there's no real particular fix that's been highlighted as coming, but I can only imagine that it's going to be something that is fixed in a relatively decent time frame, or perhaps not, but it is something that is going to be addressed at some point in time. But for those of you guys that do play war regularly, I know a lot of you guys have brought this up over on my Twitter in comments and things like that, and I've seen it a dozen times on Reddit. So I decided to hop in and play some more matches for myself to see if maybe it was an isolated incident in which it only happened to a few people, but sure enough, it happened, I think, my first or second game on, and then from there on out, I've recognized every single time that it would happen. So that said, it is something that is just really annoying more so than anything else and can scare you a little bit, give you a nice little jump scare, but doesn't necessarily change the actual gameplay itself. That just quick, maybe 1 to 2 seconds of that announcement is blaring, whereas it should just be sort of background audio and noise. Now, the third thing I want to talk about once again is very trivial. It does not affect anything, and chances are you might not have even ever tried this for yourself. But this ties into something that I talked about a long time ago up on the channel on how you can end up getting in your own solo firing range, where you don't enter the headquarters, but you still go in, edit your create a class in your soldier and your division customization, and then you enter the firing range from that create a class while you're not actually in the headquarters, and it'll put you in your own firing range by yourself. But if you look around, the entire headquarters is sectioned off, so it's literally just that one part that you can enter in the firing range. But if you end up going in here, the one thing that, again, I took notice to immediately, but one thing that, again, you probably never will unless you actively look for this, is that if you end up doing the sequences in the firing range by yourself, solo, in this isolated firing range from the headquarters, that's something in which it'll spit out the watermelons as usual, and it'll say you completed it. But the watermelons will be untextured. There won't be anything, it'll just be a white orb of what looks like light, but it's actually the watermelons just untextured. Now, it might be something in which the entire firing range in that solo experience is sort of like a non-complete version for a reason, because not many people go in there. It might be even a game bug that it goes in and you can enter it from without entering the headquarters as is, but it's something that, once again, it's just an odd little thing that I think you need to actually actively look for to end up checking out. But I wanted to throw it up in here just because I think that's, once again, a neat little bug or quirk, if you want to put it that way, that is kind of like, not an Easter egg, but something you probably just didn't know about. Now, the fourth and fifth thing up on this list actually deal with some stuff that actually can affect your gameplay and everything like that in the game as these bugs are brought up. But the fourth thing I want to talk about deals with Expeditionary, the Division, and the basic training Serrated. Now, for those of you guys that know what Serrated is, of course it helps out if you're a knifer or if you just like to have those extra throwing knives. But if you end up equipping Expeditionary Division on whatever class setup you have, and then you also throw on Serrated, the basic training there, if your Expeditionary Division is level 2 or higher, it only gives you 2 throwing knives instead of 3, which is really odd because if you take a look at what Expeditionary does, it gives you 1 more of each of those lethal and tacticals, and as a result, you should have 3 with 2 concussion or flash grenades at that, so you should have a 3 and 2, which is weird because if you do this in a private match, it ends up doing this perfectly fine. There's no issue whatsoever. But as soon as you end up connecting online and going into that online multiplayer section, as soon as your division is level 2 or higher with Expeditionary, if for whatever reason bugs out and doesn't give you exactly what you're supposed to have. So it's definitely really interesting to see how this works because a lot of people that I do know end up trying to go for knife challenges. They try and use those throwing knives because throwing knives in World War II I think are probably a lot more fun than recent throwing knives. Totally my own opinion though, that could be totally different from yours and it's totally cool if not, but it's interesting because it totally degrades a lot of the entire purpose of having Serrated as your basic training. It takes away one of the key portions that basic training offers and really throws a major curveball in there. So definitely something that I think will be changed and adjusted here within a hotfix, maybe an upcoming patch, but it's something that isn't as big to be addressed simply by itself. It might be just included in the next wave of fixes that ends up coming out. So right now there is no ETA on this one, but expect it to be coming at some point in time. And if you are somebody that uses a knife or uses Serrated as a regular basic training, it's something you probably have noticed and may very well see a fix coming soon for. Now the fifth and final quirk that I want to talk about, or I guess actually bug in this case, deals with one that you can't actually get right now because it deals with Gun Game. Now, as you guys know, Gun Game is not available within Winter Siege this week, but come next week, it'll be back with the Winter Carrington playlist, and it'll be everything. That entire mosh pit will be TDM, hardcore, domination, and I believe kill confirmed, on top of Gun Game, thrown in a little mix and mosh pit of Winter Carrington. But once again, this is something that is not available at the very moment, but I did see a lot of complaints about, and thanks to Zertus over on Reddit, this is something we actually have some footage that actually shows it. I saw a handful of incidents in which this happened, but this was the only one that I actually saw footage of and could pull over for you guys to give an actual example. But the way the bug works, it deals with the Panzerschreck, which, as you may have seen from some of my Gun Game B-roll footage and videos, Panzerschreck actually sucks. Like, I hate it so much. It doesn't have splash damage, so it has to be almost direct impact on your enemy to end up getting the kill. But if you were to go up and kill your enemy, but also kill yourself in the same process, on some occasions it would bug out and it would give you the Panzerschreck the entire rest of the duration of the game, which again, is not something that is ideal. You get stuck on that 14 rank for the Panzerschreck, and even if you end up getting the kills and you theoretically progress in weapon rank so that you should be able to switch on, it would not give it to you. So you essentially lost because of this, no matter how well you could end up doing. Even if you end up gunning down a ton of people, you don't progress and you can't get anywhere at all. So it's essentially at that point, you can just keel over and give up because you can't have a single chance of winning at that point. So that's the unfortunate part, and luckily it wasn't something that I saw was a widespread bug, but I did see it enough to think that, you know what, maybe we should bring this up, because hopefully when it comes back next week for Gun Game to finalize and finish out the rest of the Winter Siege event, hopefully it does not have this sort of thing in which it happens once again. But that said, that's what we're gonna wrap up this episode here of 5 quirks and bugs within World War II. Hopefully this was something that you guys maybe learned something, and of course, a lot of this stuff, like I said, is very trivial, very much so stuff that is just a, hey, did you know that sort of deal. Nothing that really, truly affects your gameplay, though of course the Panzerschreck thing at the very end here that we mentioned does affect your gameplay, but overall it's something that I just wanted to bring to your attention as just some sort of, hey, check this out type of deal. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. We're on that road to 100,000 subscribers. We're so close, so truly thank you guys for the support, and if you guys also want to stay up to date with anything we have here regarding Call of Duty World War II, best class setups, tips, tricks, news, information, quirk videos like this, all that good stuff, we got you covered here up on the channel. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected to me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys had a fantastic day. Hopefully you guys are having a happy holidays, and for those of you guys that do celebrate it, tonight is Christmas Eve. Have a very great time with your family and friends, and of course, tomorrow, Merry Christmas. I will see you guys later. Mine is Espresso. Take care, and peace.